Welcome everybody to SuperCaZt Reacts. This is a doing where we just watch a quick little video, react, talk about it. Steve Z here, the man who put the Z in SuperCaZt, and hope you guys are all doing great. So what do we got going on this one? Well, heard about this clip. Haven't checked it out yet. Just heard about it through my just various readings. Came across this thing that it's not too foreign for me, but it's apparently Tarantino came out and said some bad stuff about my man Hitchcock. And yeah, that's shots fired and all that stuff, but this is nothing new for him. He tends to go after Hitchcock quite often. He actually is a big De Palma fan. Like Hitchcock was more, I don't know, it ain't archaic, not as in line with what he believes. Meanwhile, De Palma's kind of like the evolved Hitchcock, so he's the big champion for him. He's not as big into Hitchcock, so I do know that much. But other than that, I don't know much about this clip. Reading about these guys, I mean, because I look at this thing and it's called Two Bears and One Cave. So I'm like, what is that? So I looked it up, and it's a podcast with two comedians, which in this case we only see one, plus QT. So I don't think this is like his normal podcast or anything. I think he was just a guest on here. But supposedly, as you can see from the thumbnail, or the little thing at the bottom, and I'll link this video at the bottom, QT came out and said some bad stuff about Hitchcock. So like I said, I've shared my little knowledge I know about it beforehand. I'll go ahead and put this out there in case you didn't know. I like both of these directors a lot. Hitchcock in particular, I just think, man, that guy is just, he's up here for me. I took a class on him in college and just love the majority of his films. And the ones I don't love, I can find good parts about them I love. So he's awesome. Tarantino, on the other hand, yeah, I still like him. He's got some great films. Doesn't really have any clunkers in there, except maybe Death Proof. I'm in the minority on that. Some people love Death Proof, but I really like his movies. They're very unique. They got their own voice, very good writing, and all that good stuff. So I like both of these directors. I'm interested to see where this clip goes, to see what he has to say, because it says he doesn't like Alfred Hitchcock. I'm interested to see why he doesn't. So here we go. Two Bears, One Cave. Quentin Tarantino doesn't like Hitchcock.
Were you a big Hitchcock guy?
I'm not a Hitchcock fan.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me, because I would imagine, I think you talk to most people who go like cinema is everything, that he's like, he's one of the...
He's one of the greatest directors who ever lived.
Yeah.
I think he was held back by the times that he worked. I think his movies, I normally don't like the third acts of his movies. Now, some of them I do. Well, Strangers on a Train has a magnificent third act.
The third act of Thrillers is especially Thrillers.
Yeah, but I do think that they oftentimes, this is just my opinion, they peter out, and he's not quite able to end them like, the way I think he would have if he was the age he was in the 50s, in the 70s. I think I would appreciate his films more.
Okay, so right now, yeah, he comes out and says, yeah, I'm not a fan of Hitchcock. But then he goes on to say some stuff that I'm not totally disagreeing with him. I think Hitchcock is a master, and if you did put him in a different era, like he said the 70s, great time for the auteur directors, able to basically push the limits to see what you can get away with in film. Yeah, Hitchcock would have loved that. He would have thrived in that, especially with his creative energy he had for so long during the 40s, the 50s, and just turning out banger after banger and just really pushing the means. So it'd been really cool to see what he'd been like in the 70s. As far as what he's saying about the third act, I'm going to disagree with him on that, just because I think Hitchcock's movies, they typically just end great. At least the best of them do. Some of them you're just like, well, that's the end. That's it. It just builds up to that. Like North by Northwest just abruptly ends. Shadow of a Doubt. It's just like, oh, there goes Uncle Billy. Or that's kind of crazy. So they just end. So I don't know where he's really going about how they peter off. I think he might be thinking of Vertigo, where yes, the mystery is revealed early in the film, but to me that movie ends on a cliffhanger, literally. So I don't know where he's coming from that. Maybe he's going to develop more, but I really like what he had to say about if Hitchcock would have not had the studio interference, or the pressures of living under the Hays Code or anything like that. I would like to see what he has to say about that. So let's continue on.
I think he's held back by the Hays Code. I think he was really
My thoughts exactly.
truly held back by the Hays Code. Now, at the same time, he was a clever little bugger. All right, so because he could use the Hays Code against their own selves from time to time. One of my actually favorite Hitchcock endings seems to be a compromise forced on him, but then he subverts the compromise. There's an expression in Hebrew called fukulafuk, which means like a reverse on a reverse, and he kind of does a fukulafuk at the end of the movie Suspicion. If you've ever seen Suspicion, it's with Cary Grant and Joan Fontaine, and the whole idea is Joan Fontaine is thinking she's married this cad played by Cary Grant, and little by little she starts thinking that maybe he's trying to kill her, and little by little we're thinking, oh, he's trying to fucking kill her. And so it's going on, and well, naturally in the original script, yes, of course he was trying to fucking kill her, but then the Hays goes, no, we can't do that. You can't have Cary Grant actually be a killer. So at the end, it has to be explained that she was wrong. That no, he wasn't trying to do it. It looks suspicious, but no, it's just she's wrong. She's wrong.
Okay, so I never heard this before, but it makes sense. I mean, this film, if you've never seen it, it's really good. I think they have a criterion of it, but it's Cary Grant, and yeah, the whole idea is like, hey, is she right? Is she wrong? Is he trying to kill her? And sort of like a rear window type thing. And I think that's an interesting aspect that he just mentioned here was Cary Grant could not be the killer. And I can see where they're coming from because that's totally against typecast. He is the suave, debonair guy. He is Mr. Gentleman. He's not a killer. He's not a psycho. Meanwhile, I can see why Hitchcock would Cary Grant for that role. That's brilliant casting because it's going against type. He is that charming guy, but wouldn't it be scary if he was also a killer? Then you're like, oh, this whole front, this charm is just the front. So that's brilliant. That's awesome. I wish they would have made that movie. That would have been really cool. So I'm interested to see how he says they have to subvert it. Actually, I remember it in the original. I'll let him tell you just in case you haven't seen that film. So minor spoiler.
He wasn't trying to kill.
Oh, yeah, by the way, Tarantino does this all the time. He ruins movies if you haven't seen them. And he's not good at saying spoiler alert or anything like that. He needs to get our sound effects group working for him. But back to Tarantino.
At all. So that plays out. And like it looks like, he's taking her to the cliffs of Dover to throw her off. And then she confronts him, "You're trying to kill me," or whatever. He goes, "What are you talking about? I'm not trying to kill you." But you did this. Well, here's the reason I did this, But
And it's plausible.
Yeah, well, more. I don't buy it. Yeah. It seems
That was a pretty good Cary impression, by the way.
like dick sucking as far as I'm concerned. They're trying to talk themselves out of the corner that they painted themselves in. I find it completely unconvincing. All right. But she doesn't. And the movie seems to wrap up. And then they get in the car and they drive home. So apparently everything's fine. And Hitchcock ends it with this shot, like they're driving a convertible roadster. Hitchcock ends it with this shot behind them. And he's driving and she's in the passenger seat and like everything seems okay. And in this really creepy way, Cary Grant puts his arm around her and goes, "Oh shit! He is gonna kill her."
Yeah.
He's just talked his way out of it.
Oh, nice.
All right. He's just talked his way. But once he gets her home, he's gonna fuck her. Now they don't say that.
Right.
But it's kind of implied by the creepiness of the last shot.
I'm gonna watch this tonight.
Oh yeah, it's a good movie. It's really good.
Suspicion?
Suspicion.
Oh man, I'd love to do that to someone.
And he's fantastic. And Cary Grant made a.
Yeah, so I'm waiting for him to get into the part where he starts slamming Hitchcock because we have like 20, 30 seconds left in this thing and he still hasn't done that. He seems like he's praising him here. This is a brilliant scene that he's talking about. It's Suspicion. Check it out. Like I said, there's a criterion for it. Probably watch it soon on the SuperCaZt. But Yeah, I don't understand what the beef is here, but I love how he's giving Hitchcock credit for working within the confines of the Hays Code and showing, yeah, this guy, he's a very subversive director. He's getting away with stuff. I mean, the man had a dark comedy where people are trying to dispose of a body the whole time in the 50s. I mean, that's just nuts. So let's see what he says here. I think he's getting Cary Grant's performance here. And Cary Grant, great actor. We've talked about a few of his movies, but definitely going to check out some more here in the near future.
Great villain. He should have played villains more. He's a magnificent villain.
Bert and Tom.
Okay.
Tom and Bert. One goes topless while the other wears a shirt. Tom.
Okay, I don't know what's up with that theme song, but that's it. So I did not realize that video was going to abruptly end like that. I was waiting for the fireworks. I was waiting for the shots that would be supposed to be fired. I mean, it says he doesn't like Hitchcock here, and I was expecting sort of a thesis of when Hitchcock's a terrible director, and hey, it's a big nothing burger here, guys. At least from this clip, it looks like he's just praising the director, actually, saying he's a really good guy, and he's very talented, so I don't know. Maybe there's some other clips, or maybe this is just the typical thing you see in the media now, where basically somebody uses a headline, say, oh, he said this, and then it gets everybody to go check it out, read the article, listen to the clip, whatever. I mean, good job for Two Bears, One Cave. I guess this is getting them a lot of publicity. A lot of people listen to them first time, so good for them. As far as I can go, it's sort of a minimal reaction. It was really cool hearing him talk about movies, but that's about it. Thanks for joining us, as always. We do have some reviews coming up later this week on It's a Wonderful Life, our big Christmas episode. And then we have Raiders of the Lost Ark coming up toward the end too. So check those out. Probably have a few more of these reactions throughout the time now that I have time to do it. Hopefully get updated our Spotify too. But keep checking out the channel. Thanks for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Check you later.